Alright, what's up you guys? Welcome to another action figure collection review, as today we're going to be taking a look at one of my all-time favorite group of Marvel heroes, and that's none other than the X-Men. Now, if you haven't seen the X-Men, the animated series, I highly suggest you watch that because that is basically in my top 3 favorite cartoons of all time, and it is absolutely the most darkest, deepest, and emotional storytelling within any kind of cartoon group of heroes. And to see all these mutants go through so much trials and tribulations just to fit into society and be at peace with the humans was really takes a toll on their internal character development. So I highly suggest you watch it, and again, it is just absolutely one of the best and greatest cartoons to ever be made, and it can be really relatable to today's times as well, because I feel like the X-Men were really just way ahead of their time. So in the 90s, Toybiz was basking in on so many Marvel cartoon shows. So we previously saw Spider-Man the animated series, but now we're going to be taking a look at the X-Men, as they've practically made so many characters within this Toybiz line, and it's so hard to have them all, but I wanted to focus more on the main heroes within this video, and then in future videos we're going to be looking at other factions and other groups within the X-Men Toybiz line, because again, so many groups of heroes and villains within the X-Men faction. So let's go ahead and take a look at all these characters up close and see how great they are. And we'll consider this basically part 1 of the reviews, as we'll have multiple parts in the future going over other characters within the Toybiz line. So let's go ahead and take a look at all these figures and see how great they really are. Alright, so up first we're going to be taking a look at Professor Charles Xavier. Now, there's one thing to note within this figure is that in the animated series he actually wears a green suit. So the Toybiz version gave him a blue suit, so it's kind of unfortunate that they didn't really stick to the source material on that one. However, if this is an interpretation from the comics, then please do let me know in the comments below. However, the facial expression is pretty cool. The suit is sculpted very nice, and of course he comes in his futuristic wheelchair, which looks pretty good, and I like the fact that they actually gave it to him. So the figure is unfortunately non-removable, so there's really nothing you can do about it, but he does have articulation by the elbows and the neck, and the face sculpt is done pretty well. So the fact that they even gave you Charles is just pretty cool. And if you actually lift his arm up, you'll notice that you can actually open these compartments where he can kind of, I guess, control Cerebro from his chair, which is pretty cool. So both arms do contain that gimmick right there to utilize certain compartments and gadgets and stuff, which is actually really cool. So nice attention to detail. However, I just kind of wish that he had the green suit, otherwise it would have been completely accurate to the animated series. But the overall design and aesthetic is done really, really well. As you can see, he has like a blanket on top of his legs there too. So the design, sculpting, all that is done pretty well. So yeah, I like it for what it is. So that is Professor Charles Xavier, aka Professor X. Up next, we're going to be taking a look at none other than probably the greatest X-Men character of all time, and that is Wolverine. Now, I love how this figure is just really captures the animated series aesthetic. I mean, the head sculpt is fine, even though this is more the earlier Toybiz, so you're not going to find a lot of great detail in these figures, but the overall attention to kind of the accuracy is done pretty well, because it looks very animated for that matter. And I love the tiger stripes there on the torso. The blues are really done well, the yellows, and again, these are all inspired by the Jim Lee costumes of the blue and yellows, so pretty good. And you can see he does have his claws, which they do have some movement to it, and I think they're retractable. I'm not sure, maybe not, but they're just kind of like all glued together, which is fine. I mean, it's better that Wolverine has the claws come out, but he has a slight little gimmick of moving his torso left and right, but it's not much of a big deal. Again, like even just side profile and facial expression, it literally looks like he just came right out of the animated series with the vibrant blues and yellows. So it's a very, very fantastic job well done for this type of figure within this line. So other than that, it's a pretty cool figure. Not much else to say, but it's a really good one. So that is Wolverine. As a bonus part, we're going to be taking a look at Logan, who is the non-costume version, because in the animated series he has his fur jacket and blue jeans and the maskless head sculpt, which is pretty good. This is the only figure I think from the Toybiz line, at least within the X-Men, that actually has a non-costumed version, so that's actually pretty cool. He does have his claws, which do have a gimmick of moving in and out, so you can see the springs on the inside. So they're like basically retractable, which is pretty cool. Blue jeans, all that sculpting is done pretty well. You can see even the creases on the pants and stuff, but the overall aesthetic and design of it is done really well. So I like just the fur on the actual collar piece and then the yellow shirt underneath, and yeah, it's done pretty well. So no, unfortunately, articulation by the elbows, which would have been really cool, but it is what it is. So at least it's the only version we have, and I couldn't have wanted it any other way. So pretty cool that they gave us this version. Next, we're going to be taking a look at Cyclops, and this is another fantastic looking figure, very accurate to the actual cartoon. I love everything about it, the head sculpt, the hair, the visor. Man, very, like, you can literally use your imagination as a kid and just enjoy having the X-Men on your roster, because it's just so freaking cool. I mean, the all blue outfit is nice, the yellows, again, Jim Lee style, very, very well done. He does have a gimmick where the visors do light up, but since this is an old figure, it's not going to work, but you can vaguely see that it's kind of translucent red on the inside. But other than that, the X logo looks really good. The musculature is fine, a little bit more of a bigger upper torso, but that's cool because Cyclops is supposed to be bigger, and it's also because there's like a battery on the inside. But other than that, standard 5 points of articulation. Yeah, pouches, all that on the belt look really good, and muscle definition, all that looking fairly well. So other than that, the sculpt looks really good. Parting of the hair, very nice, and yeah, it's a very fantastic figure, especially for the old Toybiz line, and I'm very surprised that they even gave us a Cyclops figure, but it's really great. So that is Cyclops. Alright, and up next we're going to be taking a look at Jean Grey, and this is sadly a very, very, very disappointing figure. For starters, because look at her posing, her sculpting is just absolutely abysmal. She's very, very, she's just impossible to stand. It's not going to work at all. The positioning is just so damn horrible, and I hate everything about it, and it's unfortunate that this is the only version that actually looks really good compared to the first version of Jean Grey that we got. But we can see that this one has a lot of the shading on the hair, which came out really well. The facial expression is more updated, and this is, I believe, a little bit later. That comes with bigger accessories and stuff, but this is the closest I can get to an actual yellow and blue iconic Jean Grey, because all the other ones don't really work as well. Yeah, everything about it is pretty nice. It's a decent costume. Not really the one I wanted. Again, there's no articulation by the knees or arms, just shoulders and thighs and probably neck as well. And yeah, very standard figure, but there's just, I just hate everything about it, and it pisses me off knowing that they didn't really include this. They didn't really give her like a standard version of Jean Grey, and plus she's very, very tall, because look how long her legs are. It's very, very disappointing. It makes me sad knowing it, but it's fine for what it is, and it's cool for that matter. But I'm very happy that at least they gave us a Jean Grey figure. So that is the blue and yellow version of Jean Grey. Alright, and as a bonus, we can see that we have the Phoenix figure. Now, this is what I was talking about. If this figure was more in the accurate blue and yellow colors and designs, I would have really much preferred it, because there's another version like this that has the blue and yellow, but it just looks very abysmal and very shitty for that matter. But so this is the best Jean Grey that I can find. But quickly looking at Phoenix, this is a fantastic looking figure. Look at the translucent hair. This is when she had the crazy powers, and the green and yellow outfit looks really good. They utilized this female mold multiple times for so many various figures within the X-Men line, so get used to that. And it does have the light up feature as well, so obviously it's not going to work, but the facial expression, all of that just looks really, really good, and I love how clean the figure came out. So yeah, it's very nice. And when I go over other Toybiz female figures, you're gonna see the same sculpt coming out from here with this little bandage thing sticking out, or a cloth piece. But other than that, the figure came out pretty well. So That is Phoenix and Jean Grey. Up next, we're going to be taking a look at Morph, and this is another cool looking character just because, as simple as it can be, Morph had one of the best storylines within the X-Men animated series, which I won't spoil if you don't know. But I love the happier facial expression, the parting of the hair, and then you have this standard yellow and blue X-Men iconic outfit, which is very well done. There's really not much to it. The back of it is pretty standard, which is fine for what it is. But the cool part is he does come with an alternate headpiece, which is more of the possessed version from Sinister, so that's actually really cool. And this is foreshadows some of the storylines within the actual X-Men animated series. So at least I'm happy that they gave you both versions, because we'll say this is episode 1 Morph, and then this is when he returns later on in the series. So otherwise, the whole body itself is very fine, and the articulation is standard, but the overall design and expression is very, very cool. So standard X-Men logo and the belt, reds, all that looking fairly well. Musculature is fine, but yeah, it's a nice solid figure with a little waist swivel there too. So pretty cool. That is Morph. Up next, we're going to be taking a look at Storm, and this is one of those figures where you kind of love it and hate it at the same time, simply because, one, it's a very well sculpted figure in terms of detail. However, the articulation is abysmal, and it sucks that they were so close to giving us a perfect Storm figure and then they go and ruin it. The facial expression looks really good with the wide eyes and black outline around the white hair, and the white hair strands are sculpted very well, and you can see even the K-piece is a bit dirty, but it's fine. It does peg right into the wrist of the figure. If you want her to summon her Storm powers, she can lift her hands up with some lightning effects and electricity, but then you don't know what to do with this because it just stays down there, which is very unfortunate. Thigh swivel and the articulation is fine, but because she has the heels on, it's very difficult for her to stand on her own. So this is another tragic loss on this figure in terms of it could have been really perfect, but because of how they sculpted it, it just sucks. I mean, it's so close to being a really good looking figure, they just couldn't do justice to it, and it's very unfortunate, and it bums me out knowing that they couldn't give us a great looking Storm figure. But otherwise, it's fine. The yellow belt is cool, the all white outfit is fine, and then X logos on the top holding the cape, pretty cool. The highlight here is really just a face, but got earrings there, lightning earrings, which is really cool. Yeah, I just kind of wish that they gave her better articulation, but it's fine for what it is. I don't know why they just suck at making female figures. It's so damn unfortunate, but yeah. So that is Storm. Alright, and up next we're going to be taking a look at my favorite X-Men character of all time, and that is Gambit. I absolutely love Gambit. Gambit is the greatest ever. He's freaking amazing. Now, one thing to note is this is actually the 2000 version, I believe, or 2001 version of Gambit, as he came in a 2-pack with Street Fighter characters. However, if you look at the first original version, he came with like a pleather cape, but this one seems more accurate to the animated series because I love the trench coat, the blue shin guards and knee pads, the boots sculpting, the muscle definition, even the interior of the jacket, or just like the overall chest piece looks really well done. The head sculpt has the nice Cheeto style hair, which is pretty good. Now the face sculpt can be a little bit of a hit and miss there, but at least they gave us some type of version, and again, this is as accurate as it can get to the animated series, so I think they did a pretty decent job. He does have his hands with the slight cuts on the index finger and then the pinky, same with this side, and he does come with his traditional staff. There are some card effects too, but I did not include that just because I'm not focusing on gimmicks right now, but the overall aesthetic of this figure is just great. Don't mind the dust on it. These guys have been on the shelves for a very long time, but you can just see it has a nice standard 5 points of articulation, Toybiz style. You cannot go wrong with it. It's a very awesome figure, and again, the trench coat, all that looks really great. It's just really unfortunate that he has no articulation by the elbows. That would have made this a 10 out of 10 figure, but so close, so close, so close. They just, I don't know, they just couldn't really utilize it. But again, the colors of the blues and pinks, all that came out fantastic, and explains why he's like the greatest X-Men character for me, in my collection. So that is Gambit. Up next, we're going to be taking a look at Rogue, and this is another character where it's so close to being a good one, but they dropped the ball on it. For starters, she has more of the anime cartoon expression because this figure, I believe, also came within the Street Fighter 2-packs, so close yet very disappointing. I don't like that face sculpt at all. I mean, it looks nice for like a little plastic doll, but for a Rogue figure who's supposed to be one of the most attractive X-Men characters, this looks way too cartoony for my liking. So very unfortunate. At least they did color the hair strands, the whites, which all did. It's fine for what it is. The outfit is very iconic. At least they did good with that. She does stand pretty well, but yeah, I mean, the whole costume is pretty accurate for what it is. It's just the face sculpt looks very horrible and abysmal. I hate it. And at least they gave us the brown jacket, all of that. So yeah, the whole figure itself is just really good. It's just, I mean, even if you look at the original Rogue figure that came with the X-Men line, that figure looks worse than this. So this is the best Rogue figure that I could find to kind of fit the X-Men aesthetic. And she's also pretty tall too, so she kind of stands, you know, hovering over Gambit, and Gambit's a pretty tall character. So size wise, they kind of dropped the ball in this one, but at least there's some articulation here and there by the knees and elbows. It's just unfortunate that this figure couldn't, you know, deliver the way it should have been. Otherwise, it would have been a fantastic figure. So, so close. But yeah, that is Rogue. Up next, we're going to be taking a look at another great X-Men character, and that's Nightcrawler. And Nightcrawler is another one of my favorites because I absolutely love this character design. Now, there's multiple versions of Nightcrawler within the Toybiz line. However, this is the one that I felt was the best version in my opinion. There's another more accurate version that came in like a 6-pack, but the body was a little bit wider and bigger in disproportion. But this one is nice, skinny, and slim, and has that perfect Nightcrawler body and aesthetic with muscle definition. And yeah, but the facial expression looks absolutely insane and incredible. I love the demonic face with the blue hair, the overall musculature of it, and yeah, it just looks really good. And he also has his tail, which is great. He does come with a gimmick where he has a sword, which I do have, but again, I'm not focusing on weapons or gimmicks. But yeah, this figure is just great, and I love how he has the 2 fingers and 1 thumb, and, you know, fisted hand there. But overall design of it is cool. Even the toes look great, so I'm very happy that they gave us this version. So yeah, like I said, there's multiple versions of Nightcrawler within the Toybiz line. Check it out if you prefer other versions, but for me, this is the definitive and ultimate version of Nightcrawler because, again, I just love the skinny body, and the proportions look much better, and he stands like freaking flawless. There's just nothing wrong with it, and again, everything about it is freaking great. So, love this figure. That is Nightcrawler. Alright, and up next, we're going to take a look at Jubilee. And once again, I understand this is, I guess, from a different version of Jubilee from the comics. So, she has the yellow and maroon outfit. However, this is the only Jubilee that we have in the X-Men Toybiz line where it's Jubilee. I mean, if only they gave us the blue and yellow outfit, that would have been so freaking fantastic, but they gave us this version instead. So, unfortunately, no articulation by the elbows, and she has more of a stiff mold there, but other than that, I don't know, it is what it is. I mean, the face sculpt is really fine. I love it. She looks pretty cute, pretty cool. Glasses, earrings, the parted hair, black hair, all that, the yellow trench coat, all that is very fine. And like, again, the whole design of it is really good. I have no complaints about it. It's man, I don't know why they just couldn't give us an actual blue and yellow Jim Lee style Jubilee. So close yet so far. I mean, I don't know. I mean, she is part of the other group within the Toybiz line, but again, it's just so close. She stands out like a sore thumb. It's just unfortunate, but it is what it is. And we'll take a look at the group that she initially comes with in future videos, but for now, we'll say this is the best that we got. So that is Jubilee. Up next, we're going to be taking a look at Beast, and this is a great looking figure. Dear Lord, I love everything about it. It looks like it came straight out of the animated series. The green eyes looks great. The teeth, the textured hair, very, very well done. And I love the body proportions of this one. This one has such a 10 out of 10 beast aesthetic to it, and I love the musculature. In the animated series, he does have the, fur colored and cell shading with the darker blue, so it would have been great if there was like some kind of shading, but the overall aesthetic of the figure just looks freaking fantastic. Dark blue shorts with the X logo there. The feet, the toes, the musculature of the arms. He does have a gimmick where you hunch him down a bit and he flips over, but whatever. Otherwise, the actual figure itself is just beautiful, and I love everything about it. Straight out of the cartoon, no complaints there. Easily one of the best figures within the Toybiz line. So if you love X-Men and you love collecting the Toybiz figures, then you cannot not have this, because it is just, look at it. It looks freaking great. I can't praise it enough. It is absolutely beautiful. I just love just holding it in my hand. This feels really great. So, man, beautiful figure. So that is Beast. Up next, we're going to be taking a look at Kitty Pryde, aka Shadowcat. Now, this is a very oddball character within the collection, just because I had no clue that they even made a Shadowcat figure, but she looks fine. She has more of the classier outfit, and hair looks nice. And again, she's utilizing mostly the previous female molds of the Toybiz line, so we're going to see this body type in many, many figures in future videos. But I love how they gave her the cloth jacket, and everything else about it looks good. She has the mask there with the green eyes, looks good. The lipstick is fine. She has the teal grayish pants with the boots, and yeah, very standard, simple, straightforward figure, but for Shadowcat this works well, so can't really go wrong with having her. She looks pretty good, so yeah, pretty standard. Not much else to say, but it's a nice addition, especially because she's a pretty cool character in the X-Men line. Can't go wrong with it. So that is Shadowcat. Up next, we're going to be taking a look at another one of my favorite figures within the X-Men collection, and we have Colossus. Now, there's multiple versions of Colossus as well in the Toybiz line, but for me, this is the definitive Colossus version, because first of all, look at the body type, look at how they sculpted him, look at the silvers, look at the reds, the yellows, the overall design of him looks freaking fantastic. I love everything about it. This is a 10 out of 10 figure. Even the head sculpt, beautiful. This is literally the best Colossus in my opinion within the Toybiz collection. You can see the details of the sculptings within the silvers. Very nice texturing there by the biceps and even the ribs. Very nice detail. Look at all that. Really, really great. And I love the fisted arms, and I just love the actual mold of this figure. It's very powerful, very menacing, very cool. So yeah, I love this figure. It's definitely one of the best ones within the Toybiz line. So I just love that facial expression and the head sculpt, and they just really gave us like a definitive Colossus with this one. So yeah, it's a freaking fantastic one. So that is Colossus. Alright, and up next we're going to be taking a look at Iceman. Now this is probably one of the coolest figures Toybiz has ever made, just because one, it's translucent. That is freaking awesome. I love how the 90s were able to capture something to look so frosty back then that modern toys can't even do today. Look at that. It's just so damn beautiful. It is a fantastic looking figure. Now the interesting thing is about this Iceman is it's more on the first released version, so he has more of a standard articulation, more standard design, but the overall aesthetic is nice, and he does come with all the little ice effects too, which I do have somewhere, but there's actually another version of Iceman where he's actually all white. So there's two versions of Iceman, and you can pick and choose which version you think is better with ice, but personally I love the blue one. It just has more of the, of course, ice feel to it, but the white one really isn't that bad either. It's just, it also, because of the plastic, it turns a lot more yellow, a bit hard to kind of look good in the collection, whereas this one has a nice blue aesthetic to it, which, the head sculpt is fairly simple and plain for that matter. Not really that Bobby-esque that I would have preferred, But the really cool part is that there's actually another version of Iceman that they created, which I think is my favorite version, and we have this version right here. Now this version is by far the best Iceman version that they gave us, because they sculpted the hair, black outline around the eyes, and then the overall crystals of the ice, and just the translucence again looks freaking fantastic. You can see the icicles kind of coming out of his legs. So this is kind of more where he can't really control his powers, but you can see different shades of blues and whites, and I don't know, all that looks really awesome. So either way, we can say that both versions work well in your collection, just because you could have, Bobby where he's, standard X-Men where he's, the new recruit and he's pretty good, and then you have him where he kind of joins the other group, which we'll talk about later, where he can't really control his powers and stuff. So pretty badass if you ask me. So that is Iceman. Alright, and last but not least, we have none other than Archangel, and this is more of a bonus figure just because Archangel is kind of like the lone wolf within the X-Men, and I really do like this figure. This is, the same sculpt as a previous Archangel, which we'll get into in another video when we talk about the villains, but for now, I do love the wings. Looks freaking fantastic. I love the white and blues, the little logo in the middle of the torso. The head sculpt looks good as well. Love the blue skin tone to it. And Toybiz actually utilizes this body mold on numerous figures, in which we'll get into at some point, but for now, you'll see that this is basically the start of them reusing molds so many times before. So I'll point this out in future videos, but for now, the overall head sculpt looks really good. The wings, metal, all looks freaking nice, and it's sturdy plastic too, so can't go wrong with that, and everything else about it is pretty good. I mean, muscle definition is all fine. Kind of pegs into the back there. Could be a bit loose sometimes, depending. You don't want to bend it out too much because it might break, but overall, it's a pretty cool figure. So other than that, can't go wrong with it. I absolutely love it. So that is Archangel. Alright you guys, so that was my X-Men Toybiz collection from the 90s, as this video only focused on the main core roster within the group of X-Men characters, as there's so many other groups and factions to go over in future videos, so stay tuned for that. But in this video we went over Shadowcat, Nightcrawler, Archangel, Cyclops, Beast, Colossus, Jean Grey, Professor X, Storm, Wolverine, Rogue, Iceman, Morph, Gambit, and Jubilee. So stay tuned for future videos as we'll go over other characters part of the Toybiz line. So I want to thank you guys all for watching. Be sure to give a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next episode.